This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. Okay, so this is the last that I'm going to talk about this stupid panel. There is one part in this session of which I want to focus on talking about equity. Now, I'm not sure if Meghan is just pure stupid and ignorant and doesn't understand what the definition of equity means, or if this is her way of making this sound like a good idea. Listen to her logic.
It is incomprehensible for most people to imagine that they can have that level of success or joy or strength, whatever it may be. And, the key thing that I think needs to be focused on in terms of equity is that it's not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else has the same advantage that you do doesn't mean that you're losing anything. And it actually creates an environment that is so fair, but also inclusive, where people feel as though they have a seat at the table, as they should.
The more that this woman opens her mouth, the more dumb and ignorant she sounds. I almost wonder, did she play the race card in order to get into Northwestern? Because I can't see her intellect being applied here at a university that is supposed to be prestigious. So, as she says, the key thing that I think needs to be focused on in terms of equity is that it's not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else has the same advantage that you do doesn't mean that you're losing anything. So when you try to deconstruct this ridiculous word salad, here is what it boils down to. See, Meghan doesn't want people to be treated equally. In this word salad, carefully crafted word salad, I might add, it's praising equity, but it's really fighting for unequal treatment. And of course, Meghan would want to push for this, because let's not forget who we're talking about. This is a woman who wanted to be on the same level with Catherine, didn't want to walk behind Catherine, did not want to follow the hierarchy of the monarchy. She also wanted to have the same resources, such as staff, that Catherine had. Meghan embodies being given more in order to have what everybody else has without having to work for it. So when you look at equity, it means equal outcomes achieved, if necessary, by unequal treatment, pretty much, or biased competition and preferential judging. So obviously she wanted King Charles to look at her in the same light as he did with Catherine, or even favoring her over Catherine, because this is what in her mind means as equity. But when we expand this in the United States, equity really means here, in what we're seeing happen with these social justice warriors like Meghan, is the intention to abolish equal treatment under law. And we see that on various levels. The problem with equity is that it's subjective in nature, and people often disagree on what is just or fair. So no, Meghan, you cannot be queen just because you are Black when it suits you and are a female. So when you think about these social justice warriors, they truly are anti-American, and they challenge this concept of America's bedrock principle that people should be treated equally and judged as individuals, not as members of groups. And Meghan's demand for fairness and equal outcomes completely contradict Anglo-Saxon law and political evolution to where we are as a country. It truly undermines the Enlightenment principle of equal treatment for individuals of different social rank and religion. Meghan doesn't want that. To my American audience, we cannot forget that America's founders drew on those very same principles of equal treatment in saying, when they declared in the independence, that it was self-evident that all men are created equal. That heritage that we see, along with the lack of a hereditary aristocracy, hence the reason why we broke away from the king, is why claims for equal treatment are so deeply rooted in U.S. history. And I can't understand why Meghan and all these radicals want to destroy that. Well, I can understand on Meghan's behalf, because she thinks she's part of the aristocracy and would like to rule over people here in the United States. So when we look at this subjective term of equity and getting everyone to equal outcomes, there are extensive measures that would be needed to achieve these equal outcomes. And when you look at how everything is being structured towards this one world government, you have to understand that only a powerful central government could impose the intensive and expensive programs of social intervention. and this also ideological re-education and economic redistribution. So when you see policies being written, especially here in the United States, that are focused around equity, this is what they are driving towards. And whether or not people want to believe it or think that this is conspiracy theory, that's your choice. But I'm telling you what is happening today. This is happening today. The Biden administration are writing these policies, and I've shown you this. And this economic redistribution of wealth is going from the American taxpayer, the middle class, and funneling through and ending up in Meghan and Harry's pocket when they support causes that are aligned with these policies that are being written and these programs that are being funded by the American taxpayer. So when we see Meghan doing a photo shoot with the Afghans for this welcome project that the government has created to resettle these Afghans, believe it that Meghan had received money from us, the U.S. taxpayer, into her Fugazi public charity. Believe it when we see Meghan talk about equity and mental health and reforming the online social world. Believe it that those reports are being funded by the American taxpayer. And I think that people need to wake up and understand that this is all one big, massive grift. People like Meghan, who like to twist and turn narratives and use these stupid word salads, avoid actually revealing the real goal of all of this, which is re-engineering society through coercion. This is how I see it. So when you listen to all the buzzwords that Meghan throws out on a frequent basis, such as collective, community, shared purpose, equity, this is grouping people into the assumption that everybody is on board with whatever the end state is. So if you want to be an individual, that no longer is viable in this world that they are trying to push for us. So for instance, you need to do this for the collective, for the good of the future, when you realize that you have one life to live and you should be free to live it however you want, not dictated by a structure that is now forcing into essentially what this is another name for socialism. I don't need to bang on about it, aside from me saying that Meghan is anti-American and a traitor to this country, just like how her husband is a traitor to his country. But do you think Meghan understands what the word equity means, or do you think that she knows very well what she's pushing and has been given a script to go off of? A lot of the things that Meghan says really doesn't make sense in comparison to her action and behaviors, which leads me to believe that she is following some type of script. But hey, a lot of you people think she's stupid. I think she's quite stupid, because who would have left a life where you never had to worry about anything again to come over here to follow along some destructive path that really is not going to end well for anyone, especially her? As much as we're seeing Meghan try her best to rewrite history, it's not going to change the many minds who already see her for what she is. Even if she does have a flood of PR that goes out, her behavior is what messes it up for herself. So all this money that's being spent into trying to rebrand, and I forget what number rebranding we're on, I guarantee that there's going to be another rebranding because it's not working. People see through it. Her best bet is just to go away for about 20 to 30 years so people can really forget. But the more that she keeps forcing herself onto the public, the more she is tarnishing her history, essentially. People are going to remember her as this bitter, narcissistic idiot who chose to follow down a path because she thought, her arrogance thought, that she knew best. And look where she's at now. She is not only a laughing stock, but also seen as a complete disruptor and should not be trusted. A very toxic human being, which I think, in a sense, she is doing us a service by exposing how all these other corrupt people have been trying to manipulate and fool the public. So I guess we could thank her for that. But what do you guys think? Do you think that she is just an idiot? and doesn't understand the difference between equality and equity? Or do you think that there is something more strategic about this? Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.